morning, and I am working in a different zone of my work area. I'm in the driveway. I actually, when I'm done on this, doing this video, I'm going to move into the sun just to warm up a little bit. The only reason I'm here is just so you can see what I'm doing better. This is a redoing episode in my bow building. I'm going to take 3 bows and rework them into 2 bows. And the 2 finished bows are going to have a central theme. Now, the first one, actually, this is that little hop hornbeam, ironwood, common name, gull wing. Very short horse bow. I would imagine it's about 44 to 46 inches long. And right now, it's all like basically tillered and everything, is a soft bow. But when I sinew back it, it's going to be way too heavy. So I'm going to do something on this. And I'll explain it when I get to this. The second one is, let's just put that right there, and I'm in my gloves at the moment because the temperature is a balmy 5 degrees. It is -14 in Manitoba. With the wind chill, it's well below 0, so I'm going to periodically put my gloves back on. The second bow, this is when I was in my round-bellied phase, you know, for long bows. I, at one time, believed that all bows made a long time ago in the UK had round bellies. You know, irregardless, I don't even know if irregardless is a word, regardless of the wood type. This is black walnut, and you can see it's got like a doinky stringfellow thing here. I made this a long time ago. This is very old, and it has those pointed early European style tips with sinew collar. Well, this is going to be shortened and reworked into a horse bow. And walnut was an authentic wood used back in the day. And so I shall have 2 horse bows, 2 gull wings. I am a huge fan of gull wing bows, simply because I love the design. I have to caution you that you are going to possibly be very sad about what happens to this one, the sinew-backed bow. I have 2 styles. Let's put our imaginary D bow here. Just a straight bow. When it's strung, it's shaped like the letter D. Well, suppose that you made a D bow, and after a while, just a self D bow, no backing, just a piece of wood, you know, simple. Put a string on it, shoot an arrow, and it develops string follow, like this one. Well, resetting the handle will eliminate that string follow, and I've said it many times before, I'm going to say it again. I do believe that the evolution of the gull wing was pretty straightforward. It came from a D bow that grew in its string follow to the point of being a bad bow in the user's eyes, and they just bent the handle back, and Allah, that gull wing bow design was formed. And so you don't necessarily have to have, you know, this amount of curve in it. This handle, the bend, the back set, really would depend on the amount of string follow in your original D bow. I believe that if this was a D bow, forget the setback handle, it's going to develop string follow, and I believe that it will hit a wall. It will reach a limit, you know, if you don't break it, of course, in the amount of string follow. Pre-compressed, pre-stretched, I have reached equilibrium. And so by setting that handle back, I'm working within the limits of equilibrium. So now I have a decent self bow if I wanted to keep it. However, adding sinew, like this one, it's going to make it just all that much better. Okay, we process that. We believe, as I stated, I believe that the evolution of these came from string follow, and it was a way to mitigate it. And then, of course, the next step in the evolution is the addition of sinew. Put that down there. Now, sinew backing. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to use hide glue when I sinew back this bow, this hop hornbeam bow. I'm going to try something. I was discussing with a certain person on these videos who lives in a very steamy part of North America, the U.S., U.S. of A., America. And it doesn't really work out when he sinew backs with hide glue. Oh, he might be in another country. I'm sorry. I've been in contact with several people in different areas of the world that are very steamy, and they've tried sinew backing and it doesn't work. And so I'm going to use Titebond 3. I'm using Titebond 3 because it is completely waterproof. That means you can have a joint made with Titebond 3, soak it in the water. It's not going to dissolve the glue. It's not going to act as a water-soluble glue. It's going to be completely waterproof. It's going to be humidity-proof. And I read an article in Primitive Archer. I don't want to mess up the name, but this fellow had a hickory bow, and hickory isn't the best wood for bows in very humid climates because it absorbs water easily. And what he did was he sinew backed his hickory bow, lives in steamy Florida, and it worked out. And he used Titebond 3. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. If you want to use sinew, you're going to have to use a waterproof substance to glue it on and then coat it. And you're going to have to make that jump to modern materials. But you know, it is what it is. We don't need to be snobs about things. You want a sinew back bow, you live in a humid environment, use Titebond 3. The first thing I'm going to do before I make you sad, you can probably guess what I'm going to do with this one, and I'm going to explain why I'm going to do this. This is a West Coast design. Juniper or yew works well with this design. With the recurves, and usually this is oak, so it doesn't have that reflex in it before you string it. It can preload it, so immediately off the bat you have a high draw weight, and so it's a very efficient bow. They have some drawbacks. They are very finicky as far as tillering. They are highly stressed. Gosh, I always wind up, I don't want to like insult anybody that makes these out of yew and juniper. They're beautiful bows. They are beautiful bows. But let's say they are a little high maintenance as far as care and feeding and keeping them tillered. These are not high maintenance bows. Just the way the geometry is set, they are very stable and very easy to tiller. They are rugged, very rugged. Typically a hardwood. Some were made from juniper, but typically they were hardwood with these bends, the pre-bent limbs. They are very my mind is frozen. They are very picky. Let's just say that. Very good-natured bows. They're not preloaded, so you would make them a little stiffer to begin with, and then it's kind of a sharp impulse and not a smooth draw. But they do what they do well. They throw arrows well. What I am going to do, a little bit of review from our lessons. I'm not going to affect the width of it to reduce this and draw weight. I would love to get this down to 35 pounds because when I sinew back it, it can raise it 10, 15 pounds on a short bow like this. I'm not going to narrow it. I'm not going to thin it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crown it. I'm going to round the back. I'm going to remove mass there. And I can get away with that because it's sinew backed. If that sinew has a high area of tension just along that ridge, it's fine. It can handle it. And I'm not reducing the compression width, the area of compression. So that's a good way. I am going to work in my gloves as much as possible. I'm going to use this scribe. There we go. And I'm going to make reference lines. Now I'm going to work it, let's see, from, this is going to be tricky because I can't really do that. Let's do that outside one. Just reference lines. Not really worried about that handle. Oh, push my pencil a little bit in there. Just reference lines. You don't need a fancy scribe like this. You could do it by eye. It's not that, again, it's not critical. I do not have the ability to make a line along the width here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it by eye. And the first step, wow, 5 degrees. 5 degrees. These things can be a little hard to clamp. Yes, I am going to be, oh, this is cold. You know why I like working out here? You could say, John, you're not doing sanding. You could be in your basement. But you know what? The people that made these things didn't have basements. They had to survive in elements. So I feel like in this case, in this bow, imagine the people on a 0-degree day, you know, in their teepees. Teepee's a beautiful, beautiful house, but when they went back outside, they had to deal with the weather. They had to like get beyond, oh gosh, I'm cold, I'm so cold. You know, so I appreciate that. Now in the case of this walnut bow, early European style, let's think Ice Age. You know, they weren't sissies. I'm going to only subject you to a portion of this, and I can see this. I'm going to keep my lines. I'm just going to the bevels. Maintaining, you know, a constant angle there, so everything is good. And in case of this is why I like using a clamp here and not like one of those dumb head benches, because I can work off. Same level. There we go. Not gonna spend too long on this, because I'm going to be out here for a while. But hopefully you can see that I've worked that to the lines, that one bevel. And then once you get that one bevel, it's just a matter of just rounding it off. And I can use, you know, this, or I could use a scraper, anything I want. Will I sand it? Probably not, because I want to give that Sinew a good surface. I'm not worried about cutting through growth rings, not worried about having a smooth finish. I'm more concerned with having a good bond. And so I'll probably just rasp this and then use that for the surface. As I do that, I didn't do this side, of course, just this side. You know, I'll do some flexing and get it down to where it gets a nice, gentle, easy to manage bend. Now for the sad part. Before I get to the sad part, I'll take this, I'll shorten it. I'm going to do this probably about 50 inches. And again, I don't need to worry about the string follow. That string follow is an advantage because it will help me get that final bend in here. Within, say, 8 inches of the handle, a good prototypical width, within 8 inches of the handle, I'll use my scribe to mark it 3/4 of an inch. Then it'll go to 1/2 inch, and then it'll go to slightly less near the tips. Then I'll just use my rasp, do the kind of the beveling, following that one, follow that scribe I did in this way, have that hump, and then just flatten it out. And where I have the jump between 3/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch to a little less, I'll just, using my eye and the rasp, just smooth it out. And with the 3/4, 1/2, less than 1/2, over 50 inches in walnut, that'll be darn near tillered. I'll have to refine it a little bit, but I'll do it as a D-bow. Get the handle set back, bend these in using steam. When I do the handle on a 3/4 inch piece of wood, I steam it total about 30 minutes. 15 minutes for the limbs because it's less of a bend in its center. Now for the sad part. The people that are members of the Anti-Cruelty League to Bows, please turn this video off. Please turn it off now because I don't want to get busted. I don't want to wind up in the pokey. Nice little bow. It's pretty, but I don't use it. This should be used. It will be used on this because I'm going to sell this bow and I'm going to sell this bow. So contact me, if you want to have some speculative bows. Black walnut, gull wing, hop hornbeam. I'm going to recycle this. If you remember, this was the one that I had kind of that weird sculpture here. He didn't like that either. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to recycle this. The first step, I might have to do this inside because I'm not pulling up all the... And I'm getting wood too here. This had a pretty good bond. It's kind of satisfying. If you make bows, you have to get used to like breaking some eggs. Take that. Yeah, this stuff is not coming off in one layer. Yeah, I'm going to have to finish this inside. But for recycling sinew, I have to turn, I don't have any fingers in here because they're frozen. For recycling a sinew, I may have to soak those whole sections in wood to get it off, or in water. Yeah, I'm going to soak them in wood. Just kind of go like this, and I'm going to put this in a little container of cool water. And after about an hour or so, then I'll take that container and then hit it with warm water. That warm water will loosen it all up, and I can separate these things into their constituent fibers. Get them all lined up so I have a nice bundle. Kind of wring them out, because I don't want them just to be soaking in there. Wring them out, put them in a Ziploc bag, and if I'm not going to get to it for a long time, I can just put it in a freezer, in our freezer, and just, thaw them out when I need them, because I'm not going to damage these fibers. These things are tough. Keep them in a refrigerator if I'm going to use them within a couple days, which I am. So these are not going to be frozen. And I'll have all my fibers reclaimed, almost 100% of them, by being gentle. So no waste. And I promise this will probably go into a fire with other wood that could be considered former bows. Why have all this stuff sitting around? If you have a bow that you don't like or you want to redo it, don't burn it. It's just that simple. If you have a bow that just you're never going to use, why accumulate? So they make nice fires. I'm not going to get into the other aspects of that thought, but that's enough. Now I have a lot of crossover. A lot of the people that watch my videos don't make bows. They're in fact not really interested in archery at all. They watch me for other reasons. So this is the point in time when I zoom off valiantly into a tangent. Tangent 1. Okay, you've seen that I do play music to some degree, and I have a nice old, I bought it used actually from Elderly Instruments in Lansing in the 80s. An old Kentucky KM250S, which is an A model, which looks like a pear. Beautiful mandolin. And I just recently ordered a Washburn, which gets bad reviews, on Mandolin Cafe, but I'm willing to give it a try because I'm willing to hot rod them. Okay, so I'm been playing my Kentucky this morning. It's this thing really has a beautiful tone. I should Well, first of all, instead of sending it out to get the frets redone, you know, why not? Go to StewMac, order the files, order new frets, possibly, maybe learn how to redo frets. But the first step, get the files, get everything good so I can have a low action with no buzz, and then recrown them. And then the bridge is really nice because it has extremely tight grain and it's well fitting. The feet are well fitting to the body. Maybe try an antler or a bone saddle and change the nut to bone or antler. Although I think the nut is bone on this. It could possibly have been an old Japanese made Kentucky because they first made them in Japan. Very good luthiers in Japan. The Japanese made Kentuckys are amazing. In fact, the guy that oversaw the shop now has a custom shop. So don't think for a minute that all Pacific Rim instruments are just, you know, quickly and poorly constructed. They're not. There's some really good luthiers in Asia, in the Pacific Rim, make high quality instruments. Anyway, I've been looking at this Kentucky and just enjoying it and thinking, gosh, maybe I should cancel my order for that Washburn and go all the way. Not only do the fretwork on it, maybe put banjo frets on it. I'm really going off, you know, bigger frets on it. And, whoa, refinish the thing with either nitrocellulose or like French polish varnish to get some better tone out of it. Replace the saddle from that ebony to bone or antler and, you know, hot rod this thing. I think it would have a huge capacity. Okay, enough of that. The second thing is I went to one of my committee meetings because there's, you know, a couple layers of committees above me. And there was a question of the township constable because ordinances, which are actually laws, aren't enforceable by the sheriff's department unless the township contracts the sheriff to enforce township ordinances. It's kind of a weird layering of laws. You have township ordinances, which are laws, state laws, federal laws. You know, each agency is limited to what they can enforce. They usually enforce their own. State police, you know. And so I may become the township constable, which is interesting. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. That'd be interesting. Wouldn't need to be worried about, like, busting drug labs or anything, you know. After all, they are ordinances. It'd be like zoning or blight. In the case of here, leash laws, dog laws, crossing into protected areas and stuff like that. So that's an interesting little bit of trivia. I volunteered to be considered, which I may or may not regret, but, you know, come summertime when it's 2 in the morning and if I'm the constable getting a call, you know, to enforce fireworks ordinances, you know, I might wish I didn't do it, but that is life. Anyway, time to slip into the house, get a hot cup of coffee, come back out here and work some more. My goal is to have this thing finished up and this finished up on the woodwork. And I've got other projects. I'm working on other stuff. I just wanted to do this. For the basic reason, experimenting with Titebond 3 to make a Sinew backing that is waterproof and humidity proof. I always ask myself, am I adding to the knowledge base of the world by doing YouTube videos? Sometimes it's just white noise. But imagine how great that would be to have a Sinew back bow that works in rain and also very humid environments. That would be cool. That would be increasing the knowledge base of humanity. Time for coffee. Time for coffee and to then move myself into the sun. Because 5 degrees, believe it or not, feels a lot better when you're in the sunshine. Have a good one, everyone. Hope my camera didn't freeze.